In order to graduate, Anyang was forced to enter the dungeon game developed by the Alliance School to overcome difficulties, redeem villains, reverse the collapse of NPCs, and ultimately complete an internship to earn credits. Encountering strange players in the system. Asking you to conquer tasks is not asking you to play the collapse plane. Unreasonable player. Game no credits, I'm here. Brain. Please follow the system rules. Alliance School. Stop it. Put down the butcher's knife. Delay warning. Collapse NPC. Snake spirit players, stay away from me, thank you. Keywords of the novel. Reborn me accumulates credits in dungeons without a pop-up window. Reborn me accumulates credits in dungeons. Download the complete set of TXT, Reborn me accumulates credits in dungeons. Read the latest chapter on Reborn me accumulates credits in dungeons. Chapter 1. Don't Hit Me, 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Don't Hit Me, 1. The rusty iron railing separates the outside world from the environment here, while the not-too-high teaching building in the distance is decorated beautifully. However, the gray corridor walls here are invaded by large dark red stains. Upon closer inspection, it seems that exercising for 10 minutes a day and living a healthy life for 50 years. The green long school sign was slanted against the wall corner, and the path leading to the teaching building was littered with weeds and trampled marks everywhere. This was what Anyang saw when he woke up. Anyang was stunned. What is the plot direction? How come this school is so run down, it doesn't even have a proper school badge? But this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that there are 3 female students standing in front of her, wearing pink skirts and colorful hair that are not easy to mess with at first glance, as if they are bullying me on campus. A girl pushed Anyang to the ground, her palm pressed against something, and a crimson bloodstain appeared. Up. She was beaten. Got beaten. Who dares to fight against her interstellar school bully? Bold, wait for her to come over and make you look good. Anyang is now feeling a bit dizzy and unable to catch his breath. How could he be so frustrated during his first teleportation? Not friendly to players who have just entered the novice village. This is the end of your meddling. After 3 girls finished venting, they snorted coldly and walked away. Anyang waited until her body fully integrated with her consciousness before starting to receive system information. Closing my eyes, a sweet but emotionless electronic sound echoed in my mind. Welcome to Anyang, please check the task information holographic projection screen display on the bracelet. Username. Anyang. User gender. Female. User credit. 000. Copy location. Xinjiang Academy of Fine Arts. Character. Gu Xiao. Character. Gender. Female. Identity. Student of Class 9, Grade 2. Plot of the dungeon. Zhang Tang, a student from Xinjiang Academy of Fine Arts, comes from an ordinary family but is given high hopes by her parents. Her family pays a high tuition fee to send her to the Xinjiang Academy of Fine Arts aristocratic school, which is also the best art school in the local area. They hope that Zhang Tang, who has shown great artistic talent since childhood, can stand out. However, due to class differences, Zhang Tang was unable to integrate into the aristocratic group and was excluded everywhere. A series of events emerged, such as caterpillars appearing in his backpack, glue on his stool, torn textbooks, and toilet blockades. Finally, the girl was driven crazy and jumped off the rooftop, ending her young life. Dungeon task. Find the mastermind behind the Xinjiang Academy incident and save Zhang Tang. When he saw the 3 zeros in that line, Anyang took a swipe at the corner of his mouth and couldn't help roast. The school leaders are really ruthless. How come they don't even give a beginner a basic credit score when they first come in? This allows students to accumulate 100 credits and wait for a monkey year to graduate. Delaying their studies and retaking them will also be a tuition fee. However, roast belongs to roast, and the task still needs to be done. Otherwise, if the credits are not enough, it will add to the funds for school leaders to buy spaceships. Dingling bell, the bell for class rang at the top of the corridor, along with a sound. Please return to the classroom as soon as possible. After finishing morning exercises, Anyang stood up and patted the dust on her school uniform and skirt. Suddenly, her foot pricked, and she bent down to crush the weeds. A delicate silver school sign was exposed below, and the words Zhang Tang Tang hit her eyes. Oh. Strategy objective. When Anyang followed the signs to find the classroom, the class was in chaos, with energetic high school students chasing and playing inside. They were frantically doing homework before finishing the next class, and the last 2 rows of small groups were putting on makeup. Anyang looked at their faces, then at the pile of things on the desks, shook his head and sighed. Just like her, there were so many poor students with stationery. Find her seat and sit down. Suddenly her back was slapped, and she reflexively grabbed the person behind her and fell. With a bang, then came the voice of a boy who was groaning. Anyang. I forgot this is a dungeon. Xiao, I'm just joking with you. You hit so hard. Anyang helped the boy on the ground up and smiled as he patted the non-existent dust on his clothes. Sorry brother, you scared me so suddenly. His gaze swept over his entire body without leaving any trace, and it didn't look like she was her companion on the first trip. That was NPC. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Don't Hit Me, 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Don't Hit Me, 2. Anyang smiled and said, Are you injured? Let's go to the medical room to see if it's okay. The boy waved his hand and exclaimed in surprise, I'm fine, but my butt hurts a bit. But by the way, Xiao, when did you exert so much force? You threw me over in a flash. Just learned. Anyang perfunctorily said to him. The boy widened his eyes. Can he still learn and sell his strength now? In which training class did he learn? He also wants to learn. The boy shouted to Anyang to tell him the place, and the teacher entered the door. When the class bell rang and the classroom was still buzzing and chaotic, his eyes widened and he flipped the textbook onto the table. The preparation bell has already rang. Please all students return to their seats. How many scattered students are sitting back? Song Tao. Teacher He Dongsha roared, and the boy in front of Anyang quickly sat back at the table behind him. Anyang's desk mate murmured softly, Teacher Zhang's voice is still so loud as he gets older. Anyang strongly agrees. It seems that all teachers have the characteristic of having a loud voice. After all the students sat down, Teacher Zhang opened the book, opened the multimedia device, and began teaching. Anyang stood up the textbook to cover his face, and then began to ponder over this copy. Her planet is in the new century era, and human life cannot do without intelligent devices, even ubiquitous. All network-related devices are connected to the Alliance's terminal device. The main brain. However, not all planets coexist peacefully, and there is constant friction between them. Today you have crossed my territory, tomorrow I will hit you, and such small things keep happening. In such an interstellar environment, the Interstellar Alliance was born. Its purpose is to maintain international peace and security, engage in interstellar cooperation to address economic, social, cultural, military, and humanitarian issues, and promote respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms for all. The military issue is the biggest issue in the entire interstellar space, and if the Alliance wants to have a say, it must be tough. When the barrel of the gun becomes hard, there must be a continuous supply of talent, which is why the Star Alliance Military Academy was born. The students taught by the Alliance Military Academy not only have excellent physical fitness, but also possess comprehensive development of skills, thus shaping a perfect talent. That's right, Anyang is a graduate of the Star Alliance Military Academy this year. Only by passing the game dungeon developed by the Star Alliance, completing the main brain assessment, and accumulating enough credits can she graduate smoothly. Xinjiang Academy is her first mission dungeon. Only by finding the mastermind behind the scenes and rescuing Tang Tang can one earn credits, and one cannot exit the game environment before completing the task. Otherwise, it will be considered a failure and will be directly postponed. Anyang once again sighed, the school is really a dog. Give only one person's name and no clues, where can we find such a big campus? Anyang looked up at the sky and sighed, just wanting to show off. My elbow was pushed, and a small note was pushed over from the side. My desk mate pouted at her and Anyang opened the note. Xiao Xiao, where did you go during the exercise? The disciplinary committee called for you, but you were not there. I have already recorded you. Oh no, it's the first time I've been named after studying for so long. Anyang tucked the note into the textbook and had no intention of replying. An NPC who doesn't want to write by hand. Oh no, it's class time now and you can't pass notes. She's a good student. But soon she couldn't ignore it. The NPC at her desk kept pushing notes, and the sentence remained on them all the time. Even the font size and position remained unchanged, and the teacher even repeated the same paragraph. Anyang sighed, why hasn't class ended after sitting for so long? This NPC is really annoying. Anyang had to reply to her. I went to the restroom. The NPC at the same desk wrote a few more words and pushed them over. Ah. Did you see that person in the restroom? How do I know if you don't tell me? It's the poor student who came to see you before. Zhang Tang Tang. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Don't Hit Me, 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Don't Hit Me, 3, Zhang Tang Tang. Anyang squinted her eyes. The original owner Gu Xiao was unconscious in the hallway of an abandoned laboratory. When she came over, there was no one around, only messy footprints. It seemed like a small group had committed the crime. So the question is, what did the original owner Gu Xiao do to abandon the laboratory? I also discovered Zhang Tangtang's school badge. This NPC also said that Zhang Tangtang was in the restroom during break time exercises. How could it be so chaotic? To save her, we need to first find Zhang Tangtang. The bell for the end of class rang just after the note was passed over by the NPC at the desk, and the teacher assigned homework to leave. Anyang. Good guy, it turns out this is the opportunity for class to end. NPC, you are truly an essential character in driving the development of the story. Anyang got up and went to the toilet in the teaching building. The bathroom of the aristocratic school is decorated beautifully, with clean and bright glass mirrors above the sink and sprayed with fragrance. Anyang took advantage of the absence of people to inspect every compartment and did not find any clues, not even a dirty footprint. It seems that it has been cleaned thoroughly, which is very good and in line with the style of the aristocratic school. However, in the gap between the sink and the glass mirror, Anyang discovered an abnormality. I took out a piece of toilet paper and rubbed it against the narrow gap. The white tissue fainted a light red color, and upon smelling it, it was bloodstains. Clue given by desk mate NPC. Zhang Tangtang appeared in the restroom during break time exercises. According to the plot of the task, it is highly likely that someone was blocking her here for bullying behavior. So who would bully her? And Zhang Tangtang and Gu Xiao must have had some communication, so who knocked out the original owner afterwards? It's good that this is an old grudge. Anyang has left the teaching building. In the next physical education class, art students can freely move around, so she needs to go back to the place she just woke up to take a look. At the beginning of its establishment, the abandoned experimental building was used as a performance hall for artistic performances. However, due to its remote location and capital investment, the school relocated and rebuilt the art performance hall. It was later used as a temporary experimental building, and for some unknown reason, it was abandoned again. Until now, not many students have set foot in such a cold and desolate place, and it has become a place for some people to celebrate. Students in groups of 3 or 2 surrounded a boy under a tree, standing tall with a mocking expression on their faces. Chenghan, aren't you studying very well? Why aren't you as awesome as in class now? Yeah, show us your skills in 5th grade. Don't be silent. The teacher asked you to give us a lecture, why do you have such an attitude? You just don't want to learn with us. Inverting black and white, extremely arrogant. The little boy was pushed back and forth, but remained silent because he knew that once he begged for mercy, there would be double the torture. Just endure it, there is still 1 year left for graduation, and after graduation, one can leave this place, and these people will never be in contact again. He closed his eyes and waited for the pain to come. The teacher is here. The students who were preparing to commit violence instantly turned into birds and beasts and dispersed, and no matter when, the teacher was always the role that the students were afraid of. The imagined pain of flesh and skin did not come, and he unexpectedly opened his eyes to find that those people had disappeared. Standing in front of him was a girl wearing a school uniform and a ponytail, with a fair face and beautiful curved eyes when smiling. He moved his lips to say something, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He lowered his head to tidy up his clothes, picked up the school sign that had been deliberately trampled on by someone, shook the soil, and silently walked away. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Don't Hit Me, 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Don't Hit Me, 4. This girl is exactly Anyang. Anyang watched as the boy left behind. What's wrong with this classmate? At least he won't say a word of gratitude for helping him out. This NPC is impolite. Anyang wandered around the corridor of the experimental building and then pushed open the loose door to take a look. This time, he discovered some details. The chairs on the stage were scattered with performance ribbons, with some knots and dark red bloodstains left on the ribbons. It was obvious that they had been used to tie something, and it was highly likely that it was a person. Anyang also discovered something under the stage, a transparent plastic bag containing a colorful headband without any information. The bag is very small and cannot be detected in a dimly lit room. Anyang lowered his eyes and pondered, whose might this be? A bit distressed, but it's okay, there's always a clue that can drive the plot forward. Anyang discovered that everything in this instance can drive the story forward, and each NPC has their own tasks. If there is no response, they will keep repeating this plot. Not only is the setting realistic, but even NPCs seem to have their own ideas. The game developed by the Alliance's main brain is really amazing. Hello. Someone is looking for you outside. The girl who was doing her homework with her head down in her seat was photographed, feeling a bit uneasy. After hesitating for a while, she finally arrived at the door, but did not see the faces of those arrogant young ladies in the past. Hello, Zhang Tang Tang. Zhang Tang Tang looked at the smiling girl in front of her, her pink school uniform making her skin very white and her eyes very bright. She quickly lowered her head again, afraid to look anymore, and stammered, saying, "Goo, do you have anything to do with me?" "It's nothing, I forgot your headband with me. I'll give it back to you." Anyang handed it to her. Zhang Tang Tang suddenly panicked when she saw the colorful scene, grabbed it and ran back to the classroom. Anyang. Why doesn't this NPC interact with me? How can I navigate the plot with such indifference? I won't save you. High school art students do not have evening self-study, they need to attend art training at the art hall. After finishing their performance training this evening, these art students paired up and returned to their dormitories. These crowds left behind a lonely figure, which was Zhang Tang Tang. She always walks with her head down, afraid to look at others. When the girl behind her passed by, she deliberately bumped into her and even said with a smile, "Sorry, classmate, I didn't notice you." Zhang Tangtang's long bangs covered her face, and she shrank her shoulders to let out the way. The chattering voices of the girls faded away, taking away the last hint of warmth in the evening, and the sky became cooler. "Is that them?" The sweet voice broke the silence. "Classmate, thank you for helping me last time." Zhang Tangtang wiped away the tears under her hair and did not answer Anyang's question directly. I'm sorry about what happened this morning. I implicated you, you shouldn't have helped me. In the future, don't come into contact with me anymore. Zhang Tangtang added another sentence at the end. I really appreciate you, but others' help will make me suffer even more. Please stay away from me in the future. Anyang looked at this petite girl, who was 16 years old and should have been at the age of youthful recklessness, but was trapped in this small world and subjected to humiliation. She sighed. It seemed that she couldn't get any useful information from Zhang Tangtang at the moment. Zhang Tangtang stood still for a while, tightly holding onto the colorful patch in her hand. The wind blew through her withered long hair, illuminating her back. The back of her white shirt was covered in small figure paintings, all of which were the marks left by the demonic revelry. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Don't Hit Me, 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Don't Hit Me, 5. A slender man approached Zhang Tangtang with a gentle voice. Zhang, why don't you go back and rest? Hello Teacher Ji. I noticed that you didn't have dinner, this is for you. Teacher Ji handed her a bag. Zhang Tangtang dared not take it and quickly reached out to push it back. The injury on her wrist during the shoving could no longer be concealed, and the teacher stuffed something into her hand. He pushed the silver mirrorless frame and his clear eyes collided with her, smiling and saying, if you have any questions, please contact the teacher. The teacher will help you. The voice at night was very gentle, almost choking her throat and hurriedly covering her wounds. Thank you, Teacher Ji. Then I'll go back to the dormitory first. Zhang Tangtang bowed to the teacher and hurriedly left. At night, when Anyang returned to the dormitory, a group of girls were chatting enthusiastically about gossip. Boarding schools only take half a month to go home, so many students secretly bring their phones to the school and surf the internet. The content of the chat is nothing but celebrity gossip and strange stories. Anyang is not interested, just wants to quickly return to the embrace of Duke Zhou. When she finished washing up and was ready to go to bed, she heard the 3 words Zhang Tangtang. Anyang put down his legs that were about to climb onto the bed, went over to Miso, and asked them with a smile, what are you talking about? Join the sisters' tea party at night. A group of girls talked all night until the early morning and then said good night to each other. Noon school restaurant. When Anyang finished cooking, he went to a table with delicate plates and squeezed into the afternoon sisters' tea party. Oh! The ladies ate quite delicately. The sisters group was a little confused and could not react. Sisters leader. Who is it? Why are you so naturally familiar? Sisters number 2. Your name is Sisters. Sisters 3. No. I don't know. Looking at each other, after making eye contact, it was confirmed that this was not one of them. Head opening. Who are you? Anyang blinked. What's wrong with these people? How can they forget so much? Didn't we just meet yesterday morning? But it's okay, I can introduce myself. Hello everyone, I'm Gu Xiao. Yesterday's meeting was a bit unpleasant, but it's okay. Today, I'm here to introduce myself again. Wait. Jiang Xie, the head of the sisters, interrupted her. I know you. Anyang blinked, knowing, then it would be easy to handle. Do you have anything to do? I want to ask you, what happened yesterday morning? Which little sisters pushed me? Anyang nodded at the table with his fingertips, smiling and looking very talkative. I came in such a hurry yesterday that I didn't see clearly which daredevil had hit her. Blame them for looking too similar. The air froze for a moment, and was soon broken by sisters number 2, who said in a bad tone. If you hit me, I will hit you. What's the reason? Anyang. Well said. Sure enough, it's an NPC who takes villainous scripts, but let me remind you, how dare you speak to players like that? As cannon fodder, you will be offline soon. I can disregard the past and hope that the current conversation can give each other a new beginning, allowing you to start anew. The previous grudges of the original owner can be put aside, her credits are important. First of all, Zhang Tangtang is our alumnus. As classmates, we should live in harmony. How can we vent our frustrations on others due to hormonal imbalances during adolescence? I hope that in the future, we can love each other and become a family. If something like yesterday happens again, I will use some small means to make you obedient. Sisters number 3. It's not like you're a few years old. Dare to speak to them in such a tone. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Don't Hit Me, 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Don't Hit Me, 6, Sisters number 2. The last person who dared to talk to them like this has transferred to another school. You are very brave, classmate. I understand teenagers very well. Everyone has a lot of energy, but you used it in the wrong way. We grew up under the red flag, bathed in the sunshine, and received compulsory education. Don't forget the hardships of our ancestors. Anyang secretly extended his palm to take a glance, cleared his throat and continued, how happy our generation is. In the midst of a prosperous era, let us not disappoint. May our youth defend this. Teddy sisters. Is he sick? Just talk and start talking. The homeroom teacher is attached. With such a strong and passionate voice in this speech, these rebellious girls expressed their unwillingness to listen. Wait, wait, wait. The sisters group quickly called a halt at the climax of about to express his passion, being interrupted by someone. Anyang frowned and expressed his displeasure. Such emotional brainwashing, no speech. Why don't you blend in with me? Can't our motherland warm you up? No. It must be that your ideological consciousness is too low. It seems that you need advanced thinking to arm your brain. Anyang took the initiative to jot down additional tasks in his notebook and prepared to implement them on a later date. Are you sick? Go to see a doctor if you are sick. Who cares about our sisters? Sisters number 2 was a prick. She slapped her face on the table angrily, indicating that she was not easy to offend and spoke rudely. Such a big commotion disturbed the students eating at the nearby table. They wanted to stand up, looked up and saw the 3 sisters of the bully, sat down as if nothing had happened, and moved the dinner plate away from these people. Zhang Tangtang got excellent grades, and the teacher asked us to learn from her. In this case, it is not reasonable for us to have in-depth exchanges with her. The head of the sisters said beautiful words, but distorted the truth. Do you have any opinions on us, classmate? If you interfere in other people's affairs again, don't blame our sisters for cleaning you up. Sisters number 3 was empty-headed, but her voice was very loud. Anyang sighed and expressed regret that no consensus had been reached. Since it is so, I heard that not only do you have a deep family background, but you are also very skilled in fighting. Anyang said slowly and leisurely. Sisters regiment. How dare you provoke us even when you know we are powerful? Anyang curled her eyelashes, her smile not reaching her eyes. Since the red inheritance cannot influence you, let action determine your destiny. Don't leave after school. See you in our old laboratory building. Sisters are looking at Anyang with a fool's eyes. You are brave. However, Anyang has launched a challenge. How can they refuse to accept the 3 sisters? They must show Gu Xiao some color to let her know who is in charge of the final say. After evening self-study, all students eagerly left the classroom and headed towards the dormitory or restaurant. With the end of the school bell, 3 sneaky figures bypassed the crowd and headed towards the dilapidated laboratory building. At 9:30 p.m., the old experimental building, which was rarely visited during the day, showed no signs of cats at night. As the moon revealed its delicate features, the temperature quietly dropped. Sisters number 2 sneezed. She hasn't come for such a long time. She can't cheat us. Sisters number 3 shivered. It's impossible. She can stand up for Zhang Tang. She is a brainless person at first sight. She will definitely come. The sisters' head and lips were purple. She didn't speak, but her face was expressionless. I will definitely give Gu Xiao a good look when she comes. Dare to make them wait like this. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Don't Hit Me, 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Don't Hit Me, 7. The girl in a short skirt trembled in the evening breeze and gritted her teeth at Gu Xiao for the sake of beauty. Good evening, beautiful and freezing classmates. Anyang held a certain brand of yogurt and slowly swayed over. Sisters number 2 appeared. Gu Xiao, you dare to come. Why don't I dare to come? Anyang bit into the yogurt straw and took a big sip. Humph, since you have such courage, for the sake of being classmates, I'll give you one last chance. What opportunity? If you tear up Zhang Tangtang's homework tomorrow, how about writing off our previous affairs, said the sisters' leader. Anyang carefully considered it and said, although I admire your arrogant courage that comes from nowhere, let me remind you that you are too arrogant. I am an angel sent by heaven to save Tang Tang and punish the wicked. I cannot be convinced. Grasp your small fist, make a loud sound, and uphold justice. Anyang felt that he was emitting divine light at this time, so he had to hold a torch. The sisters were dumbfounded. Did you get scared by them yesterday and get sick? How can you be like a lunatic? Sisters' leader. So you refused. Alas, sisters is really all your villains. God can't see it. Everyone is an alumnus. What contradiction can't be solved? We have to force others to death. It's unbearable to openly provoke them one after another. In the past, those classmates either whispered or took a detour when they saw them. Unexpectedly, Gu Xiao, who used to remain silent, now stands up as a live target. Sisters number 2 was so angry that she jumped forward and knocked out the box of yogurt in her hand. Anyang was stunned. How could you waste food? What an unethical behavior this is. Did the school not educate you to cherish the fruits of others' labor? Looking at the box flipped over on the ground, I let out a sigh of regret. I just bought it and haven't had a few sips yet. Anyang's face sank, and a chill rose from the bottom of his eyes as he spoke softly, since you're so disobedient, I'll have to find a different way. The girls suddenly felt a bit unfamiliar with Gu Xiao in front of them. Although they were all on the same face, the feeling they gave was completely different. They didn't know if it was because the night was too cold or if Gu Xiao changed his face too quickly, which made their calves and stomachs tremble a bit, but the loser didn't lose sisters group. Yo ho, you are not so bad. Sisters, show her how powerful she is. 5 minutes later, the 3 sisters all lay on the ground, and the raised dust fell over their incredible eyes. They really wanted to get up and talk nonsense again, but the pain in their buttocks and shoulders made them unable to stand up straight. Sigh, why don't you listen? Listen to people's advice, have a full meal, understand? I often walk by the river, where can I avoid getting my shoes wet? It's not good to do too much of a bad thing without retribution. Anyang carried his hands behind his back and walked back and forth in front of them, muttering words in his mouth, looking like a teaching director. The socialist core values that ordinary schools should keep in mind are those that you haven't remembered a single word and haven't followed a single principle. It seems like an oversight here, but it's okay. As angels who save you, there will naturally be ways for you to move towards the right path. Then you can copy the school rules 10 times. I hope I can remind you today that you must not repeat them in the future. Sisters. This is the devil. Also possessed by Tang Monk. Gu Xiao, how dare you do this to me at school? I will go to the teacher to complain to my father. I will let you quit school. Sisters 2 screamed and shook her fist wildly, because her face was painfully contorted because of the force. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Don't Hit Me, 8. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 8. Don't hit me. 8. It hurts so much. Who came up with the bad idea and why did things develop to this extent? This is completely different from what they imagined. Anyang sighed, it seems that you still have objections to me. The sisters' head and teeth are about to be broken. She lies on the ground and never goes back and forth on her chest. Gu Xiao looked brainless and easy to bully yesterday. Why is he so abnormal today? Are they all pretending? Although not convinced, the hero does not suffer immediate losses, leaving the Green Mountains without fear of burning firewood. Jiang Xie winked at the little sisters, and the second and third understood. As soon as Anyang reached out her hand, sisters number 3 cried and said, "Don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me, I'll just write it." Anyang patted her face, helped her up, and gently said, "Isn't it better to have been like this earlier? Wasting time is not good for everyone, why bother?" Sisters number 2 and number 3 hold each other and tremble. "I want to go home. Someone has been possessed by a ghost here. I hope to see a different version of you tomorrow. By the way, remember to tidy up the ground," Anyang said and swaggered away. "Today is really a pleasant day. Leading the fallen girls back to the right path, I feel like the red scarf on my chest is bright again." Sisters number 2 cried, "Sister Yu, what should we do? Are we really going to copy the school rules? The school rules manual is a whole book. They haven't even done their homework, how could they obediently copy the school rules?" Jiang Xie tugged her mouth and stared in the direction Gu Xiaoyuan was heading, her eyes fierce. But I underestimated her for a moment, how could she just say whatever she said? No copying. Just now, it was just because people had to bow their heads under the eaves. But she is so skilled. I'm afraid she didn't consider the consequences of doing this. In a few days, pretend to hand over the copied school rules to her and bring more people to retrieve our venue. Sister Yu is right. Call Jia and the others, and make sure to give Gu Xiao, this ignorant little slut, some color to see. If they can't beat it, call them people. So let's go tomorrow, for the next 2 days, let's hold our ground and see what's going on with Gu Xiao. We can only take action once we have a clear understanding of the situation. Zhang Tangtang has not been harassed by Jiang Xie's sisters group for the past 2 days, and even his classmates have become friendly. At least no one will put ink into the water glass anymore, no one will deliberately exclude her, and the homework she handed in will not disappear for no reason. She didn't know what the reason was, but it could still help her breathe a sigh of relief and ease her tense nerves a little. Except for occasional visits from that girl Gu Xiao, Zhang Tangtang's face appeared before her, full of youth and curved eyes. Although we meet very few times, there is always a light on her that people dare not look directly at and cannot touch. Zhang Tangtang picked up a water cup and went to fetch water. The public water dispenser was outside the classroom, but the water dispenser in the first grade of high school was broken. She had to go through the corridor to fetch water in the 3rd district of high school. She lowered her head and went out. It's raining outside today, and the break time exercises have been cancelled, so the corridor is very crowded. 16-year-old boys are playing and frolicking outside. Zhang Tangtang shrank her body and tried not to touch anyone. If she accidentally bumped into a classmate, even if it was the other person's fault, she would quietly say sorry. Walking doesn't have long eyes. An arrogant and sharp voice sounded from above. "I'm sorry," Zhang Tangtang apologized hastily. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Don't hit me. 9. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 9. Don't hit me. 9. Sisters number 2, with her eyes on her head, finished the work. Seeing Zhang Tangtang from afar, she deliberately came to find fault with her. She snorted coldly, "It's really unlucky." Zhang Tangtang's bangs covered her eyes, unable to see the emotions in her eyes. Her white fingertips appeared at the cuffs, gripping the water glass tightly. "There are so many people, are you deliberately bumping into me? Sisters number 2 put on a big hat to her first, regardless of the situation. I am speechless, pale and powerless. You don't have as many people as you do. You just hit me, it's not intentional. Being unruly and unreasonable, as soon as you find the reason, it will erupt. You are a sophomore student, why are you running to the 3rd grade teaching building? A faint voice suddenly rose from the back, with a hint of terror. The arrogant sisters two's body froze, the voice. She didn't dare to turn back, feeling a bit scared inside, only feeling that Xiao Jojo had been seen through. Although I really want to jump up and hit her, my ability is not enough, so I can only stutter and say, I passed by, yes passed by. Oh. Passing by. Anyang casually put his hand on her shoulder and said, so leisurely, have you completed the task? Sisters number 2 wanted to cry, but felt the jack pressed on her shoulder. Why did Sister Yu send her to find Jiegu? Why did Gu Xiao appear here? A feeling of being constantly watched makes her very nervous. Done, no, it's done. Anyang looked at the empty female student in her hand. Where is it? Is it the Emperor's new clothes? Sisters number 2. In the school bag, school is not over yet, there are too many people. Anyang said he understood very well and said, oh I'm afraid of losing face. Sisters number 2 clenched his teeth, clenched his fists, and endured again. Brother Jia has promised Sister Yu that he will clean up Gu Xiao. Let you hop around for a while. Sister Yu said she will give it to you after school tonight. Also, it ends wherever it happened. We hope to see you at 8:30 p.m. in the same place. Don't be too arrogant. I'll make it hard for you to eat at night. When we call Jiegu, we won't kill you. Wait, Anyang stops sisters number 2 who wants to leave. What is Article 3 of Chapter 2 of the school rules? Sisters number 2 was caught off guard and confused. What? Why are you asking such a question? Anyang looks at Zhang Tangtang, who is silent. Sisters 2 seems to have enlightened himself and suddenly understands. Mourning and apologizing, I'm sorry, Zhang Tangtang. I didn't see the way earlier and misunderstood you. I'm very sorry. Anyang's eyebrows and eyes curved, and he closed his palms with a contented smile. That's right. We are all classmates and friendly. What conflicts can't be resolved? Look, copying school rules is not very useful. Zhang Tangtang, who was watching the whole process, froze and couldn't react. How could bully sisters number 2 suddenly change? She would apologize, even under the threat of others. And this person is still Gu Xiao, who was implicated for her 2 days ago. Why is sisters 2 so afraid of Gu Xiao? Can it be that I haven't seen you for 3 days, scraping and looking at you in a new light? Although her mind was a bit down, she still instinctively answered, it's okay. After she spoke it out, she finally came to her senses and understood what had happened. She paused and stammered, saying thank you for taking care of your classmates, but you really don't need to. There's no need to stand up for me, it will only implicate you. Anyang had a righteous expression on his face and said awkwardly, I am a senior, so naturally I cannot watch you being bullied. Moreover, they have violated the campus handbook. As an excellent student from last semester, I should represent the teaching director to guide them towards the right path. Zhang Tangtang. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Don't Hit Me, 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Don't Hit Me, 10. The night was dark and the wind was high, and the bustling campus returned to silence. Tonight seems a bit colder than the previous 2 days. The moon is hidden in the clouds, revealing a hazy and dim moonlight. Dark clouds cover the sky, and there are no stars in the night sky. After the rain, the campus was cold and humid, and the ground was covered with snails and small insects. If accidentally stepped on, it will make a scratching sound, making the scalp tingle. The sisters group tacitly wore long sleeves, and they felt that Gu Xiao would not arrive on time. Short-sleeved Jie Gu. Why don't you remind me to wear clothes? Anyang bit a lollipop in his mouth, with his hands behind his back, and walked slowly over like a stroll. Sisters. Brother Jie, she's here. Jie Gu, who had been pretending to be cool for a long time, moved his slightly stiff limbs and glanced at his watch. The dial showed it was already 8:59. This girl is so bold. Even his brother dares not take it seriously. Jie Gu, who was waiting for the girl to call him brother, didn't speak for a while and had to take the initiative to speak up. Are you Gu Xiao? Anyang straightened his chest and said, that's right, I'm Gu Xiao, an excellent student from last semester. Sisters Group. Outstanding students are amazing. Keep talking about it. What's there to show off? Jie Gu. I heard you hit my sister because of a high school freshman girl. The beaten sisters group. It's her. Brother Jie is our master. Anyang corrected him, no need to hear, this is a fact. Okay, as long as you kneel down and apologize now, and take a detour when you see my sister at school in the future, this matter will be over. Jie Gu looked very easy to talk about, expecting a little girl in Anyang to cry and beg for mercy when she sees him. But in fact, Anyang's pitch-black eyes flashed with excitement upon hearing this. So, are you bullying me on campus now? Jie Gu. There's something wrong with this development. Sisters number 2 cheered on brother Jie. How about beating you? Let your leader meddle. So you were beaten by me, Anyang said sincerely. Jie Ji's face sank and he said, you're such a brave girl. Even my Jie Gu sister dares to bully her. Do you really think there's no one to support her behind her? If you want to stand up for those people, don't even weigh your own weight. Anyang imitated his tone, with a more arrogant tone. You guys are so brave. You even bully your first-year high school girls. Do you really think there is no justice in this world? You want to speak for the devil, have you asked me about the light of justice? It seems I won't be able to teach you a lesson. Jie Gu was repeatedly humiliated, and his anger rose from his heart. The sisters group jumped out and said, yes. Teach her brother Jackie a lesson. Otherwise, she won't take you seriously in the future. Jie Gu showed a fierce appearance that didn't fit his age, and swung his fist towards the seemingly weak girl in front of him. Anyang sighed. Attacking players, this is NPC taking the initiative to send heads. Then we can't blame her. Bang. The scene 3 days ago was staged again. The 3 sisters were holding each other and shivering again. They looked at the stick from Anyang where they didn't know it was coming from. The strong stick beat brother Jie to the ground. Jie Gu suffered from abdominal pain and his head was a bit confused, unable to stand up. How could this script be different from what he had imagined? Dungeon task. Find the mastermind behind the scenes and save Zhang Tangtang. Anyang pondered, would solving these perpetrators be considered saving Zhang Tangtang? It should be considered so. Jie Gu had a feeling of being stared at by a ghost on his neck, which made him gasp for breath. He looked up, widened his eyes in fear, and the smiling girl in front of him slowly approached him. No. The scene of staring at the ground with both eyes paused. End of this chapter.